Okay, I hope we're all there, guys. You can hear me loud and clear. Welcome to TradeSetup and the live stream for the 21st of August. Hope we all had a good weekend. And I'm Paul. I hope you're doing well, mate. I know it'll be getting closer either way. Yes, if anyone's having issues seeing the live stream come through or hearing it clearly, just let me know. We're up and running. All right. Well, let's get into it then. While people are still coming in the room here. What we'll talk about today, we'll just go over the usual. Take a look at the markets, the overall markets, just see what happened on Friday night. Not a lot, really. I think it started off fairly weak, and then just a follow-on from Thursday night in the US. But then I think the market turned around, pushed up into positive territory, then sold off into the close and finished down slightly on both the Dow and the S&P 500. That's a broader market than the S&P. So not a massive session either way. It was good to see that there was a bit of support in there. So we'll take a look at those charts in the US, obviously. We'll have a look at the FTSE, the DAX, see what's happening over in Europe just on those charts. Not much has changed, but we'll just keep ticking over those because I know they're starting to, especially on the US, starting to look a bit stretched, or they've been stretched for a while. So, and what I want to take a look at in saying that is I just want to go over a few gold charts and take a look at some of those little gold stocks we've had on the radar for quite a while now. So I hope that's everyone's favourite is gold, and these the gold producers, gold miners. So we'll have a look at that and just see if there is some potential for these to start setting up, and will that coincide with a bit of sell-off in the US? You know, if it does, we might get them starting to run, but we'll just have to see. Just see if there's some good setups there. Also, for anyone that's new or is watching this, you can join us on Twitter. Top left corner, linking to us on Twitter there, or the top right, you'll see us on Facebook. That's our Facebook link there. And the bottom right hand corner, just subscribe to us on YouTube at the address down below. And what you'll get is you'll get a push notification every time we do go live, whether it be a stream, a presentation we do, anything at all. So I hope we're going well. And we're actually, before I forget, the general advice warning just here. We're going to give general advice, not specific advice, and we don't tailor it to anyone's needs. It's just what we see happening in the market from time to time. All right, let's get into it then, guys. I'll put my face up there. I know how important that is. I seem to crack the same joke each time. I'll never get bored of it. All right, so the market's down 23. I didn't expect it to be down so much, to be honest. SPY futures, they pretty much closed the US session where they closed on Friday afternoon, our day session. So not much happened in the way there of movement. There wasn't much lead from the US. Like I said, I think the futures only finished down a couple of points. The Dow was probably down 30 or 40 points, I think. So nothing serious, nothing significant. Especially after what happened, I think it was the night before, a few nights before that, where it got sold off quite heavily. Now, Trump still got a few issues, but it was funny how the market took it. I was reading a couple of articles on it. He's had somebody else leave. I can't remember, head of operations or something like that. Actually, not leave, sorry. He got rid of him. So apparently it's viewed by traders as a bit of a thorn in his side, and it could open the doors to a bit of growth and getting their plans through the through White House, getting all these what was it? I'm forgetting the words now. You know, tax reform and growth policies, all those sorts of things. He might not be as hindered now, I guess is the word. So the market took that as a bit of a positive, but that's why it spiked, sort of had a bit of a kick up, got back into some positive territory, then was sold off later on. Still, I mean, there's nothing you can look at. I saw something on TV the other day of how many were in his cabinet originally when he signed the documents as presidency. They're all pretty much gone by one guy. So that wouldn't be a vote of confidence in anyone's book, I wouldn't think. He's obviously got some issues, and that's causing all sorts of problems. And traders, you know, they're still looking through it, and they're still looking towards the economy. Obviously, you know, it takes a bit to change that. The economy's still going away. It's not ticking away really, really strong where they've got to worry too much about inflation, but they're getting some good numbers through. If they continue to get an increase in these positive numbers, growth numbers or jobs numbers in the US, then they'll be, you know, inflation will be well and truly on the cards again. Then they'll be looking towards a potential rate rise. Maybe December is, I think it's a 50-50 at the moment between traders. They still view it as a 50% chance of another rate hike in December. Otherwise, they'll be looking out to 2018. So if that's the case, there's not too much you would think. I mean, I know valuations are quite high in the US, but if they keep ticking along, they keep doing well. I think the last bout, they all did pretty well. They all sort of exceeded expectations on the reporting season in the US. So, you know, they keep ticking away. They are. People are going to keep buying. They're not going to give up any profits until there's a change of some sort. So we'll just have to keep an eye on things. Keep an eye on your bond market as well. I think that's important. That'll give a bit of a heads up of what they're seeing. Being quite a professional market, I guess is one way to put it. You know, a good professional market, the bond traders, it's going to be a good heads up to what could be happening towards rate rises, which is going to filter through to equities. You probably saw a bit of a good reason when that got that sell-off a few days ago, a good reason to sell. Obviously, you know, we've seen that before, and we bounced straight back and gone into new highs, so we'll have to watch closely to see what's happening. It hasn't broken any trends, which we'll take a look at now. Let me just find them. What's everyone else's view? Still positive, negative on the markets? I'll throw it out there a bit, unless anyone's changed their views. What's everyone's view on Trump, by the way? Anyone's got an opinion on Trump? I know my opinion's probably fairly clear. I reckon I don't think he's much of a president, to be honest. I think he's running it like a business. It's probably not the right thing to do, and he's stepping on some toes. You know, it doesn't look good either way. Now, that's the Dow there. We've had this little lower high, but it really hasn't broken any significant levels. We're still on the daily. Yep, the daily. You're probably looking towards that 21,250, 21,300 as a basis support. You know, we've had a little push up here, a bit of contraction, consolidation through that level, and then we've had a push up. We've got a lower high here. Doesn't mean the market's rolling over at all. It means potentially we're going into contraction. You just have to see how deep they are. If it's a big sell-off, we start, you know, gets bought up here, and we probably build another lower high. Then you're going to look towards those high lows. But that's, I'll make that a bit thicker. Can we also see that chart clearly, by the way? I've just made it a bit thicker there anyway. If you're having problems seeing it, just let me know. But yeah, the trend is definitely up. That's the daily chart. It hasn't broken the daily downtrend yet, even with the sell-off a couple of days ago. The weekly, and it's still, you can see that stochastics get into that oversold territory. So that's looking a bit stretched here, but it's not coming anywhere close, really. As a rule of thumb, we look at 1/3 to 2/3 as a bit of a pullback, a corrective action. And you've got, say you're taking it from this level here at 21,250 up to, well, it's close to 22,250. You know, 1/3 to 2/3, it's about in that range there on a pullback. So that's pretty generic, standard sort of a pullback range. It's coming to oversold there, so it's taking a bit of pressure to get it to sort of that level, but it's still holding up the trend, and that could easily turn around, build a high low. Just getting a few of these late buys back on the sidelines who potentially come back in again. A bit of a washout. That's not a major washout at all of this longer term trend. The weekly, you know, weekly's still powering along. We're probably getting a bit. I think we still got a bit to go here. Could easily have a bit to go if you take it from these lows around 18 up to 21. It's 3,000 points just over. If your next level's really around that 2,500, you're sort of taking it towards 23. Yeah, around here, just below 23. So there could still be a bit to go in that move up if you're measuring this leg out and you project that out. May take a while to get there, get a bit more tentative as we push up, but we'll just have to keep an eye on those. The S&P, not much. Again, nothing much has changed in the S&P. Got a lower high just in here, but still your key level is just down above 24, so hasn't really broken anything. A bit the same as Dow, not quite as good. The broader market looks like it's had a better corrective, correction, as we see at the moment anyway. But still, that trend is high. You've got your key level just in here, so you had good corrective action here. Had a little push up, bit of a pullback, washed people out. Another push up. Bit of a pullback, another push up. So we're really, what we're going to see now is it going to be a bit of a pullback like that. It's a bit deeper, probably washing out a few more people, and you might get, as you see these washouts become a bit bigger, as the trend gets on and gets a bit long in the tooth, then we might just keep an eye on it. Just be concerned. But either way, at the moment, nothing's really changed. The weekly, a bit the same on the S&P, still looking good, still holding trend up. And what have we got? Let's take a look at the FTSE, because that was looking good at one stage. Yeah, it's going to be choppy, still holding above that 73. That's not looking quite as good. Obviously, it looked great back here. on the daily chart, we had that good sell-off down to 71, build that high low, then bang, up she goes. We did like it around there for a push up through that. It was around 73 at that stage, which is actually straight back down to that same zone. It's more of consolidation through here between 73 and those highs of 75.50 to 76. What we'd want to see, or what we'd like to see on the FTSE anyway, if you're looking for buying opportunities, this is the daily. Don't forget the weekly is actually the trend is still holding up. You can see how it done it here, tested, and then it built that high low. We want to see that top of price action again. We want to see it kick up, build a high low, and then that's something to work some longs off. If you're trading over there in on the FTSE, the DAX. Where's my DAX? There we are. Where's my DAX? DAX has some good corrective action now. You're sort of coming on that support zone at 12,000. It's not a big level anyway. You go back to the weekly. It's had a good run up. Took out the highs up here. Obviously, it's washed out those highs. Contraction back to the reversion to the mean type of trading. It's contracting back to 12,000. Back to these MAs. The trend is still high in the weekly. Nothing's really changed just yet. People who bought it late into that trend, the breakout traders bought it through those highs, started loading into equities. There's a bit of pressure on them. Maybe they're the ones getting washed out. We'll have to see how that plays out. That's probably about it. We'll look at the XJO. Where are we on that? So this is a nice one. Before I forget that. What do we got? XJO. Again, we're sort of stuck in that choppy price action, really between 57, 58. The US, getting sold off, got hammered a bit after that, and we're pushing again down again today. Don't be surprised if the US is down tonight, down a few points. If we hold down, it just seems to be the way we open down and we work our way back up again the rest of the week. We'll see how that goes. It is, this type of trading is quite tough through here. We've managed to actually put on a few percent. We've done all right with some of the trades we've picked. You've got to pick quality trades, I guess, in this type of price action. Just get into some quality. Sometimes it's harder to trade the big blue chips because they go with the overall market. They're getting choppy too. Picking some nice quality setups and just going on the back of those. Don't take too much risk, obviously, and it's paid dividends for us anyway. We've done quite well. If it starts lifting and we do get that high low, then I think that's just going to go on better. And maybe the problem we'll have there is that some of the ones that have gone on, they've sort of stagnated, and you might get a lot of other stocks that start kicking on that haven't done so well through this period anyway. So we'll have to reassess that later on. And we're not going to complain either way. How's everyone else been going sort of through this choppy price action? Got some good runners. We'll just take a look at a couple while I'm waiting for anyone to put up any comments there. We'll take a look at, we're going to get into the gold in just a second. I'll just take a look at a couple of charts. We've done all right. So we've got EHX. For anyone that didn't know, we took that, and it's a bit of a shame. We were looking at 12. Did get 12 eventually, but it's looking like at this day when it popped up to 12 and it come back down to 11, we took a full exit on that. So it did well. We'll have to see. That was that we've spoken about a few times. And if anyone has any questions on that 10-cent play, that looked like it was going to go and really crack through that 10 cents, which it did. We thought it might have got a bit more choppy price action through there, below and above, they get washed out either side. And that's at 10 cents when it goes from 9, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3 up to 10. Then it starts having half-cent increments. So you see the bigger boys sort of buying it below there, chipping out between 10 and 10.5, maybe 10.2 or 10.5, and just booking some good little healthy gains. That happens time and time again, and that played out nicely. At the moment, it's still up towards 12, so we'll see. That could keep going. We'll wait to see if we get a decent correction on that. Build a high low, and then probably goes away from being that 10-cent play to actually trending higher, which would be great too. So just trying to think of what else we've actually got on the cards. IFL, that's still holding up, and we've taken a dividend on that one as well. So that's been handy. That's been really nice. We've taken a partial. We've still got some going. We're going to take a profit on the second half, whatever happens. Yeah, no worries, Helen. What was I saying there? I get sidetracked very easy. So, yeah, we potentially, if we do get stopped out on this, we've taken a dividend, we've taken a partial, taken profit on the first partial, we've taken a lot more on the second, so we can't complain on that one. Iluka's one we've had for quite a while too. That's up at the moment. I think we got that at 895, if I remember correctly. 895 on that. So we got that through here. Oh no, we got that back here, sorry. It's just been choppy through here. It was looking like at one stage it was going to push below these lows and started lifting, but it's getting stuck just up at those highs again above 950. It'll open up, and then you can see these 2 days here, it's just getting sold off, opening up, touching on the highs and getting sold off the rest of the day, but it does get bought up into the close again. You can see with the wicks either side. But we want to see that. I want to see that power through that 950 zone. I think sooner or later that will kick on. The weekly's still looking, the weekly looks good. And that's the longer term monthly, but you can see that nice base through there, the base through just above 5 to 550. It's holding higher lows. We're still looking like we're holding higher lows. The daily's up, weekly's up. So we'll have to really just sit down and EUC. Will do, Clement. Oh, thanks for the messages too. That was interesting. That was great. Yeah, this one's looking good. Probably not much else to report. I just can never quite remember what we got. ASX trading around 54. That's up a bit. Want to see that power up through those highs. I think it can go on with it. Get towards 55. Then we'll look around a partial if it gets a bit extended up there. But I think this price action looks quite positive. Looks like it's going to push up through 55. So up through the highs, which are 54, 57. It's looking like it's going to kick on through there. Holding higher lows here. Looking good. We'll just have to see how far it can get and then potentially take a partial and let the rest go. All right. That's probably it really we want to talk about. We'll look at just want to click over some gold. Is anyone interested in gold? Is anyone taking a bit of a shine to gold? There's another boom boom joke. That's a dad joke more than anything. Just checking out where everything is now. All right, let's just want to go over to what we've got on gold. We've got an alert running at the moment on, I think it's DCN, Darchin Gold, and then I think we'll get into, once we go through, we'll just have look at a couple of charts and just see what they're looking like and see how they're setting up. I think they're starting to really show a bit of promise, show a bit of interest there. What am I looking for? I'm looking for watch slits, don't I? Pretty slow on that today. So DCN's the one, you can see this price action go, it's better on the weekly. It's had obviously a good run up. And we roll over from that 3 to 4, $3.80 to $4 resistance level. Once we got through 3, then you're going to get contraction there. You can see that was a good sell-off there. Pretty much fell off a cliff all the way down to about $1.80. Pushed up the MAs, pushed back down, retested, and you got this minor little lower high. So you can see that it was probably a fair bit of selling to push it from those highs down to this $1.80 level. It took quite a bit of selling, and it's a good pullback, good healthy pullback. And then we washed out these lows down to about $1.40, but then it started, this move up here, especially on that weekly candle, popping up through this minor lower high. You still got this level to contend with, but then it's held this high low at around 180. So that's what I like about that. And it's sort of chopped through there for quite a while, good part of 2 to 3 months. And we're just starting, and we've just pushed out. So this little kick up now, we got up to 226. That took out the previous high at 222. And then we're holding around that zone. So that's looking good. I like that. And now all I'm really looking for an entry is really a push up through 220. I think that could kick on, take out these highs and start to build and push up to at least that high at 260 or around 260, that lower high. It's looking good. It's looking like there's a bit of interest in that at the moment in DCN. So it's shown some promising signs. And, just by looking at that chart, it's quite clear that it's had a healthy move up. A lot of people put back on the sidelines, so it's potentially building for a new leg up. Only time will tell, obviously. But it's got some good price action to it. SAR, yeah, Northern Star, I like that one too, Helen. And EVN, we've had a look at that one too. I mean, look at that. That's Saracen. That's on the weekly. Good push up. Healthy washout there. Had that lower high on the weekly, then it pulled back. It's your 1-2 legs we've spoken a bit about before. It really didn't get much below this inside low through 90. Couldn't get down to that 80 zone. And then we're lifting now. So the daily was looking good through here. It's still lifting, taking out that high. Yeah, that's a nice looking chart. From here, I'd prefer rather a bit of a pullback, maybe to the MAs, but holding some highs, bit of work done to try to push it down, and then just go down to your daily charts to see, if we can pull back, contraction back, wash out some of these late buys, and look for an entry somewhere. It would be nice to be somewhere around 120 or so. We'll see how that one goes. Northern Stars one, I do like that too. This one, to me, is looking like it could roll over that way, but it could just sort of wash out and then start building and build that longer term move up. It's still a good healthy stock too. This one's a producer, I think, isn't it? Is it? I know. I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, producer and exploration. So looks like it's got some tonnage in the bank there. Yeah, so I like that one too. I reckon that's a healthy one. But yeah, it's just that chart. I think if we can get a bit of contraction here, but hold above this high low at 425, and just we see a few people exit. Bit of, if I can explain that right, what I'm looking for more here is more. It's added these push-ups. We're about here now. I'd like to see this type of price action. It's still holding some higher lows, but a bit of contraction in there, and then you've got a level potentially to break up from, and you can squeeze anyone that's sort of starting to sell. It looks like it's going to roll over and then turn around, hold this higher lows, and then push up, take out the highs at 525 and go. That's what I'd like to see for NST. I think it's not the way it's sort of pushed down and then bang, just held high lows off. It hasn't sort of retested anywhere near that low at $3 or retested anywhere through here. It's just been high lows straight off. So it's like that V-shaped recovery. Not a big fan of those. I'd rather see, get smashed down like it did pretty much, down to 3. Push up, a deeper correction as you see sellers trying again, but it get held up at a deep high low. So it's, again, that's 1/3 to 2/3 rule. But it's more of a 2/3 pullback, a deeper pullback. And that's where sellers are starting to push it down. They can't go on with it. And then it starts to get bought up again, and then you get those high lows, and then we go. Instead, this one's pulled back, and it's just pretty much turned on a dime, bang up, pull back, only 1/3, you sort of pull back, 30% pullback, up, and it really hasn't done too much more than that. What else we got? That was NST, SBM. Not a massive fan of this one. Yeah, that's true. It is. It's just. It's the overall choppiness. I mean, everyone's sort of expecting probably a bit of a rollover, maybe buying into safe haven gold. It's just not happening. You get that little pop up and a bit of a pullback on gold, and gold itself is choppy. Actually, we'll take a look at gold before we get onto it too much. In saying these on gold, I want to see some nice healthy setups. I think gold is sort of at that level at the moment. I thought it might pull back, but we've just washed out some support, and then we turned around and washed out some resistance. Let me find. Here we go. So this is spot gold. We send out, for anyone that doesn't know, we send out an FX alert on the Friday Arvo. So if you're interested in foreign exchange, doing quite well. It's not the hard and fast entries like we have for our stocks. Excuse me. But we've got concepts we like to look at, overbought, oversold. Where's the majority of people sort of place? They place short. Okay, there's an opportunity on the long side for them to get squeezed out, and vice versa for longs. There's an opportunity to get squeezed out on the short side. Push them, any longs just get squeezed out of here. And this one, there is quite a few longs positioned on gold. Whether it's going to act like the currencies, and we've done well on the euro with that same sort of concept. And it's just kept kicking on higher. People keep shorting into it, think it's overbought. Get a few lower highs, but it's still holding a longer term trend up. They get suckered in and squeezed back out. So on gold, it was right at this stage when we started looking at it, thought, okay, this is a nice double top. You've just taken out that anchor. You've got a good washout here. Potentially it was getting overbought up here, looking like a good zone to roll over. And then you had all this argy-bargy with North Korea, which sort of people started jumping back into gold as a safe haven. But what we've done the last few days is really popped up through that 1294 zone. So that if that's going to be a washout, what I'd like to see really is to push out through these lows. make that a bit bigger, through this support just in here. Not support, this high low just around 1267. And then I think this is, it's the three, especially when you get a washout, if you get a double top up here, and then you get a washout and it takes out this high low here, that's more of a negative sign for me. I think, and then we think we could probably roll over, and then we want to build that major lower high, and then I think it's on for Young and I. We could push down and through 1217. At the same token, we could just hold high lows and go on with it. I mean, this could just be that washout. It's held that high low really. This support at 1217, washed it out, and it's just going higher. So it really is at that stage where we're right up at resistance. So I wouldn't be jumping in for a short here. But at the same token, I wouldn't want to jump in on a long position either. And if I would be jumping in long, it'd be more of a shorter term trade. Does that make sense anyway? Anyway, a few else, AQG. Some good support forming through here. You want to see if this can hold a high low at 210 and start building through 230. That could look good. EVN, longer term, that looks pretty good. Nice high low just in here at 220. Sort of retest this prior high low. We start building. That could build and go up through 270 towards those highs at 3. Gold Road, actually that looks good on the weekly. Anyway, that's good kind of price action. Pushed up into the highs. It's getting, you got those lower highs, lower lows. I guess on the daily you'll see this move. That's more corrective, ready to build another leg up, and that could potentially punch up through these highs at 75. That one's actually quite a nice one. That one's going to get an alert today by the looks of it. You can probably guess that I haven't looked at this one for a little while. That looks nice. I like that type of setup. We can get a pop up through 70 from here, or 69.70. That could be quite good. It's had a good little pop. You can see that move down here, quite solid sell days, and then bang, straight back up again. That looks good. Yeah, no, that's true, Helen. I was getting a bit bearish on gold recently. Like I was just showing you in that midsection on, if we can just get it back up. About here, I was getting a bit bearish, and there's a few factors. I just want to see that lower high. This hold, another inside lower high, then bang, down she goes, except to turn around and head straight back up. So at the moment, for me, there's a case for each side. Excuse me. Well, that's probably it for Perseus. I know that's a lot of people's favourites. Technically wise, yes and no. MA's still down. It's sort of holding down these lows. You can see that the sell-off was quite hard. Good reaction. Straight back down to support. There's lower highs, but it's sort of holding at that support too. And that the movements, the volatility's come out of it, which would suggest that it could be a bit of a turn, or sellers are happy to sell it down to there. They're not happy to jump in and try to sell it now. Buyers are not completely convinced that the selling's over. So it's a bit of that, I guess, balancing act at the moment. We'll see how that one goes. That's about it. That was a little one. BDR. That's one we've looked at. That's not so bad. But then again, it's got a bit of work to do on this one anyway. All right, let's... anyone else got any little goldies you want to take a look at before we flick it open? And while just waiting for the comment there, put up anything else you want to take a look at. We've got EUC we'll start off with. And then we've got CLQ for K. Anything else, chuck it in there, guys, and we'll get stuck into it. So I guess just to add on to the gold, what I think it's worth keeping an eye on that. I mean, if the market keeps heading high, there's not going to be much safe haven buying into gold, and they probably won't do too much. You might find that resistance holds. Over we go. KGN going mad. I think there's a lot of us going mad. Yeah, but I think it's always worth looking at it because it's at that level where this could easily, gold could easily topple over, and then maybe these setups don't really play out. All they do, you got the Aussie dollar to factor into it as well. Because they're local companies, the Aussie dollar is going to, when they're, especially the producers, is going to play a bit of a factor there. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. If this, g'day Frank, TCL, I'll have a look at that for you. Handsome bloke, aren't you? All right. What was I going to get into there? What is it? KGN. Is that gold? What's that one there? He's going nuts. Kogan. What do they do? Retail and operating e-commerce industry, open online broker. All right. Kogan. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. That's your weekly. Yeah, that's kicked off. It's obviously been news related, has it? Yeah, Helen, something's happened there. 8%. What's happened? Kogan results, good results. I'm guessing delivers strong financial year results. To launch NBN services. Okay. Yes, looks like they're doing some really good things. That chart looks good. This around this zone is what I love. You can see it sort of rolling over. You sort of wash out. It's rejected, and it's actually that reaction's quite good. When you get that rejection candle there, it's tried to go again, and then bang, just lifted. So when you get this sort of lift after that offer, it could be a double bottom, whatever you want to call it. It's a retest of that low. It pops up here and then holds, say 5 or 6 days through there. You probably want to be buying it on that acceleration higher, or even you got the secondary even through here. That's some nice setups because you've got it starting to roll over. It's washed out a few people. Secondary washout here, but it's held. That's some nice price structure here. It's tougher to hold, tougher to trade through here. It's not as clean. Yeah, I mean you don't ever these sorts of things. You don't ever want to just short it out of the blue. You want to see it. I'm just trying to find it if I can find a chart. That looks like you want to short it off those lower highs, ideally. Not so much just when it's spiked up. You probably have to do it's probably going to do a bit of work. The problem is these sorts of things that go hard like that, they just spike up and then bang, profit taking it. So it's one candle up, one candle down, and then you don't really get much of a chance to short. But it would be interesting to keep an eye on. Now we go back to Clements EUC. Cobalt. That, yep, agreed. Go on this chart. Just gonna make sure I've got that for later. All right, that's your weekly, don't worry. I mean, obviously, the only thing to get out of the weekly's got a lot of room to move on the upside. Now that, looking at this daily, you can see this obviously not much happened through here. Excuse me, popped up. Obviously some good news. Held those highs. You got that initial. You're always going to get that initial profit taken for anyone that knew something through here, and it's generally the people that do know something ahead of time. And it's popped up, then you get those people profit taking through here. But then it's held those lows and it started to build again, and we built another push up into new highs. Took out that high up to 9. Had a good little pullback. This could be one that could get played for that 10-cent level. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on there. In saying all that, actually we just go to here. You know, that push up through 10, so it's definitely get held up here at 6, just especially after today. That pop up through these highs through, was it 6.7, say, when it touched on 7. I'd want to see it have a close up, maybe have a bit of a pullback to build that high low, and then I think that's definitely on. And if you take it resistance across the highs, that's definitely coming. It looks like it's coming right out of contraction and holding that $6 level, or sorry, 6-cent level. So it's definitely looking good. And if you just, we'll just mark it up. There's a few little factors here. It's only traded, well, I've got it as 270. It's probably traded around 300 grand today. It's small, you know, but this one is the perfect thing that could get played for that 6-cent, sorry, the 10-cent mark. Let's go. All right. So obviously you got a few things. That's your leg up here, and this is sort of your last. You push up. We take that up. Let's just clear that up. That's your initial pop up, pull back. You got a little level here. That's your anchor to this move up. So that's your secondary move up. it's really held that anchor. So it's really come all the way back down. It's holding there, maybe retesting that zone, and we're looking like we're starting to lift. And that's the out of contraction we're starting to see the last few days. So whether it goes into consolidation, just chops around between 6 and 7, we don't know, and that's why we're looking for. My bets are on the upside, looking for it to potentially move up and do that 10-cent mark. So this is one I think we're gonna have on the radar for sure. And thank you again, Clement, for that. But I'd want to see it, pop up through. That's your 7-cent level through here. Pop up, maybe a bit of choppiness there, and then go. That's what I'd love to see. I think that ideally that would be good, and that's some really strong evidence rather than just this sort of pop up through 7. It's being rejected straight away today, and then hold here. I don't really want to see that. I'd rather see it push up on the close above there, and then maybe a bit of a pullback in the next couple of days, a bit of choppiness, but hold through 7. That would be nice, and then if you can get a higher low to work off, that would be ideal. What else we got? CLQ, did we go over that? I'm guessing not. Yeah, no, this is one I can't remember. Do you remember if I actually alerted to this one, Kay? I can't remember. I think we've got it on the radar anyway, but look at that weekly chart. You've had contraction through there, and it's bang, it's started a new leg up. High lows. These high lows were retested through here. Beautiful spot on the daily. I think it's around here. Just below 50 cents, isn't it? Yeah, that's a beautiful spot. You can see it's clear on the weekly. High low here, it's pushed up. That's what we call that inside continuation trade, where it's inside the high, which is this high here. Off a high, another high lows built, and then you're looking for that acceleration up. And you can see it's quite a solid type of trade setup, because you've got that bang. That it's really, accelerated higher, taken out up to 120. Really kicked on strong. And that's from this type of setup, this inside continuation type of setup. Up strong, consolidated around 70 cents, and bang, up we go. So at the moment, price is corrected. It's washed out a lot of these traders on this move up, especially this move up. Washed out that 60 level with this move here. And this is what's good to see. I like that. So this is definitely one to keep on the cards. Oh, done it again. Oh, let's just do that. Let's click that off. Right, so you can see what I'm saying there. Oh, that should move up. We've got some lower highs in here. That's nice, and love seeing that type of price action. And then followed by taking out an anchor, like a lower high. When you see that, whether it's the upside or the downside, if the market's pushing up, you push up, it tests resistance, and then bang, you go boom, straight up, and then take out that higher low. It's just the opposite of what we're seeing here. That's would be potentially what you're looking for, is that lower high to build, and then sell into that. In this case, it's a long. Love to see a washout of support, and then take out the anchor for that move lower, that's your washout. Took out the anchor here with this little pop up, and then building. And what we've done since then is really just hold high lows. We're coming up to level now, which is starting to it's rejected once, rejected twice. So just keep an eye on this. If you do get it, you get something like this to trade off, it means you can work your risk quite clearly. I wouldn't buy it. Personally, I just wouldn't buy this now, because that's rejected through 85. I would want to see it kick on stronger, and it may do that. It may just have kick on to the close today, or you get another more action tomorrow. It may retest 80 again, and then bang, you want to see that acceleration through those highs at 85. Otherwise, this could start to roll over, take out this low at 75, and then roll over, test back down to 60. We don't know just yet, but definitely if you get it, it's pushed up, just so that's that move up. Make that a bit better. With this type of price action, we're into that high now. If we can get this type of price action and then potentially buy it through that high, you've just got a minimal risk on that. It's worth taking a shot. Gets up through those highs, it may just accelerate on and then hold higher lows all the way to $1.10, $1.15, $1.20. And that's knowing exactly where your risk is definitely worth a shot. What else we got? Does that make sense on that one? I mean, I don't like buying on that breakout there. So, I mean, you could have got here, bought through that high there at 85, and now you're back up against the wall at the moment. It is technically looking good. It's holding higher lows. I just don't like that rejection there, which led to a bit of a sell-off. You know, if history repeats, we could get the same thing. We got a reaction through 85, and it reacted straight back down again. And then we get a few red candles to push down. It could come all the way back down, and then you start to see this price action rolling over. But the longer term price action is definitely there. You can see, you know, move up, wash out of these late buys or the buys through here, held this level, good wash out here, then pop up. We're holding higher lows now, so all the pieces in the puzzle are starting to fit together. I just want to see it push up through 85, and then I want to see my high low. I'm addicted to higher lows. I think they're a good little, it's a good high probability type of setup. I mean, there's times when you miss it, like we've shown. But there's enough shares going around to you just find something that sets up nicely and plays out nicely. Now, Franks, we've got yours at 2 TCL. Transurban. So probably a bit delayed here, am I? Yep. So this one had a good, oh, this is a weekly chart. I don't need to draw it just yet. We've had a good push up. This is good corrective action back down, and it's taken you sort of back down to that zone where it's not a powerful, it's a powerful trend, but it's not a hard and sharp. So that's quite, what would you say, refined? No. Well managed. That move up was never out of hand. It never spiked. It was just well controlled. That's what I'm looking for. So you got to pop up, a few days up, contraction lower, back to MAs, and it was well controlled. You can see the MA started getting spreading far apart, had a good little correction, may retested that low and started building again, building. This, what we saw here was that little washout we just mentioned. Probably a bit harder to trade on the short side. But what you can see, that push up through here. So when you get that washout there, the first thing you're looking for is the higher low. What happens with that higher low? And it's just gone straight through it. Potentially that was your short somewhere in here. Are we on the weekly? Yeah, we're on the weekly. So if you went down to the daily, you might see a setup at this zone. That could have been a nice area to sell it. Yeah, that's your lower high. But what we're saying here is really, you've got that, as soon as you break through that anchor level to the uptrend, which was through, say, 1150, this support here, you broke through there, then if you're long, you'd want to be reassessing that. And as we can see, especially if you're long from here, if you're long from way back here, okay, it's worth holding through this correction and just seeing what happens, or you take a partial, because it's always handy to take a partial. You never know what's going to happen on shares. So even if you're a long-term holder from here, and you're sitting on some nice healthy gains with this push up, as soon as you see it broke through support, the first thing you should go in your head is contraction, or are we going to get a sell-off? There's the two options for me. I would never be looking at this saying, okay, it's broken through that anchor through here. Oh, we're just going to pop straight back up again. I'm not a firm believer. I think you need these that's your first move down. It's retested the breakout zone. Bang, you get another test. From here, you don't know if it's just going to roll over and go bang all the way straight back down. You've got to be prepared for anything. So that's why I'm a big fan of taking your partials there. You can always reassess and re-enter, and ideally you could have re-entered through here. It could have been at the same price. You've locked in a partial, and then about the same price you're getting back in, you re-entering that partial. It doesn't matter. It's worth giving up some just to see, to book something. And then you're not taking too much risk if it is a big pullback. And then you can always re-enter if you really like it. But that's the theory behind it. So you've got this reaction, and that little pullback there's really just washed out these late entries, these late buys through here. They've been washed out, washed them out for a move down to 925, held high low, and it started working its way up again. So this push up here, we've just gotten through those highs, and if we take that back through again, my problem with this, and I'll show you it's clear on the daily, this is your key level here, and it's exactly what we just said with this move. The problem is that move up through there, for me, is not very strong. It's not a strong move. And then what you've straight away preceding that pop up through those highs, the recent highs, is it broke the anchor. It comes straight back down, 2 weeks in a row. So if we get into the daily, just remembering this move up through here, and then we've got that drop off. So what you've got working against you if you want to buy is you've got a major double top, and you've got that washout. It's all these sort of things we want to look for. So that's your major resistance, say through here. That's your washout just in here. That's not so much your anchor. That's more of a decent anchor through here of this move up. So that's produced this leg up. That's your anchor producing that, so on and so forth. We've broken through the anchor, and that's just what we mentioned before. And we've got contractive action back through here. For me, I would be looking ideally for a short on that. I don't know what you're thinking on that, Frank, but you've got this type of channel action, and that again is your V. When you get that move down, it's strong move down, and this buying is not strong. So it would lead me to believe we're going to get this type of move down. If you measure that out, could take us somewhere around 1040 or 1020. That type of zone in through here. We just draw that up. Does that make sense? So that's a one leg down. It's a one leg, another secondary push down, and that I'm just trying to explain it better. If you're going to feel positive about this, I'd rather see markets push down to here. That's this zone through here, about 11. You want to see it maybe pop up, go back down, retest it, and then hold your higher lows. If you see that price action, I'll be happy to buy that. We haven't got that price action. It's got bang, 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 high lows, high highs. To me, that's more. And then we're going to get this secondary wave of selling really to take out these lows at 11.20 or so. That's what it looks like. Could be completely wrong. I'm not usually wrong, but anyway. Does that make sense there, guys? Does that sort of understand where I'm coming from? And that's why you're piecing together that weekly chart with the daily. Remember, that longer term weekly chart is, you've only just washed out those highs. That's not a convincingly strong move, especially after these couple of candles taking out that anchor level at 12. Not convincing at all. So you've got the major double top. You've broken an anchor from the secondary. We've had this move up. Good correction back. We've tried to go again. So this should have been a nice strong leg higher. It's only just got through the highs. Then we've got selling straight back into it again for whatever reason. Then you've got this choppy action on the daily. This, to me, that looks like it's going to be a major lower high, and then we're going to go down again. But it's worth if anyone could remind me in a few weeks just to look at this again, just to see what happened, see what played out. I'll write it down. Anything else you want to take a look at, guys? Uh, 21st. Right, just write that down to see. Alrighty. As my coffee gets a little bit colder. My mouth stopped. So markets, it's holding up down 30, 25, 29 to 30. Not seeing any massive... Oh, another one we're looking at is, which I don't know if it's going to play out now. It's not looking that great. This is B&O. If any of them more aggressive traders, hasn't traded a lot. But if we get that onto a daily chart, that weekly, I think, is that just about everything? No. All right. So this is what's perked my interest through here. We got this higher low that's held at 30. We've got lower highs, lower lows, working its way down, all the way down to, say, 22. Something's probably news, I don't know. It's kicked it up, and it's had that bit of, if somebody's known in here, like they shouldn't do, but they do, known about it, and it's got that little kick up, they've taken profit, it's come back down, but then people have started to build, it's re-entered, and it's starting to head back up again. So if you take your resistance through there, I'm really looking for it to pop up through 46. And after today, I don't know. I mean, if it pushes down below this, below say to 42, I think my trade, what I'm looking for is no longer. We're not going to worry about it. So you've also, I think, if you do follow the trade alerts, what you notice is we do put an entry price and a potential exit price, so your stop loss. Now, I always look at it from the view that if it trades through your entry, okay, then you've got activate your stop loss and you've got that in place and away you go. But if it doesn't, if it triggers, it goes back down and triggers your stop loss level prior to entry, prior to trading, you know, in this case through 46. If it from here, if it just heads down and takes out 32 before trading 36, my trade premise is wrong, and I'll have to sit back and reassess it. Whether it just washes it out and then goes, and then I'll have to send out another alert and just reassess it as we go. But you don't necessarily, you don't want to see that. You want to see strength, and strength is on a rise. It's a rise up through 46, and you don't want to see it take out 42. But that's not strength. If it goes back down again, takes out 42, it looks like sellers are still in control. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it's going to push their way back down and retest the low at 38 and then start building, or it's just going to go down from here. We don't know. But you don't want to, I think a few people have been caught. It's pushed down, they've left it in, and it's come back up and trade their entry. Yet our trade premise is no longer there. We've just forgotten about it and left it. So if you do follow the alerts, that's one thing just to take note of, if that makes sense. John, ALU, nice trade on DMP. Well, let's look at DMP, and we'll look at ALU as well. Dump. Dominoes. What'd you do on that one there, Helen? Undump DMP. Major washout here by the looks of it. And you can see it's taken out that sort of key level around $50. On this one, I don't know what's caused that. A bit of a sell-off there. In on the open. Was that off the big drop? Okay, so you bought it off somewhere around here for a bit of a gap close play, I'm guessing. Under 40. Okay. Oh, beautiful. So you're pretty much close to the lows. 39.50. That's nice if you got that. Out in 3 positions up to 41. Beautiful. So that one there, you've got, this is the type of thing, if you get that gap down on the open, you'd want to be looking down to the, do you look at the intraday chart, say a 30-minute chart, just to see what it's doing? If you can hold the high low, you know, same type of price action you're always looking for. Look at the intraday charts. Let's actually just have a look. We're not going to see. Ideally, that would have been probably not that day. I would have bought it. I would have been happy to buy through here, just looking to see if it can break up and close some of that gap. So you would have got, ideally you got a better entry than me, than what I could have, but I would have been looking at confirmation this is not going to keep rolling over off that higher low just in there. You got it all in the one day by the looks of it. That was in that 1 day's price action, and bought it below 40 and rode it up to 45. Pretty much in the first few hours. That's nice. They are a bit. They do get a bit like that. When you're not nervous, you know you've got it right. Or you're just giving up on it pretty quickly. All right. Now, what was the other one? ALU. Where are we? Oh, this is... That's good, John. That's I don't know if I had this one. I just saw this one the other day. I wrote this down. I think we've got it on the watch list. So ALU, Altium. John's just put up there. Altium Limited. What am I on the weekly? Oh, we'll do the daily. The thing is with the weekly, I mean, we don't need to do the weekly, but we'll just have a quick look at it. You can see it's had a good push up, higher lows, higher highs, big bang. Actually, we rode it up through there, I think. It's starting to look like it's going to roll over here, and then bang, some news come out, I think, and ticked it off. So but then what you've got here is some lower highs, lower lows, but you can see how the selling's not convincing. If you get, when price washes through a level, say it makes a new low when you get through here, and it doesn't go very far, but then it has a deeper correction. if you're looking for the long side, it's a good sign. I always think it's a good sign. And it's the same on the upside. What we just looked at before was TCL. When it washed out the highs, it broke through the highs, but then it's turned around and come back down. You don't want to see that if you want to go long or if you are long. It's not the best thing to see. Then you get this deep correction, and then it might go again and wash out the highs by a few cents and then pull back $2. That's never anything that you want to see, because it's just a sign that we're running out of buys or fresh buys up into new highs. And so what you'd be looking for, you'd want to just tighten up your risk. I mean, you never just want to close it out, but you'd want to be on top of that and just keep an eye on it and potentially tighten up your risk on things. It doesn't matter what trade you got. So it's a good sign though if you're looking this, for example. If I just drill in on that, this, for example. Well, actually, let's just draw it. I don't mind. If I'm watching this, I think for me it's actually a good sign that I know I'm starting to get a good sign that I'm in the right direction. You got that push up, pull back, tried to kick off here, and even more or less retest those highs there. And this move through the low, considering where it come through, if this was negative, you'd expect that to extend a bit further, sort of the length of that, from high to low, reacted off those lows, chop, 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 then bang. You'd expect it to, when you project it out from that high to low, be roughly the same down here. Now, when it only just breaks through the low and then starts pushing back up again, that's not a bad sign for longs, and you can see what it's done is pushed back up through this lower high. Does that make sense? So that's not a bad sign. That's actually a really good sign. That's more of a washout. You take it as a washout. It might be a fairly good washout of those lows. It's more of, this is the leg up. We're still holding trend, the longer term weekly trend, because this is your key anchor level right down at $6. So when you got this type of action, people get sucked in and sell into it as maybe a short trade, or they get out of their longs. But you're working, the people that are getting worked over a bit are the people that bought in this leg up, not the people in this leg, because they got the potential. They can hold it as a profit, give it some room, and hold it below that high low on the longer term trade. And you're just chopping these people out of this leg up rather than anyone else in the original leg up. They're happy to hold it below there and just take the risk that they don't get pushed out of the market. And then they start seeing this, okay, they're happy again. And then, you can add to your position potentially very soon by the looks of it. So this is your weekly chart. Like that price structure, we got through that lower highs through here, just below 9. Good little sell-off here, but we're holding it. So if we go back down to the daily, we'll just draw that. Alright, so that's your level through here. That's sort of your support through there we're talking about. That's your little longer term washout, and then it started building. So when you're building through here, that would have been quite nice. If you could get a nice little entry there, pop up through here, your risk is below, this high low, minor high low. It's done quite well. Now you've got a little support through 810. That's your first leg up. Good little pullback, and we've bet that secondary leg up. We've come all the way back down to retest it. So what I'd like to see from here, this could easily be a washout at the top side. I'm not saying that I'm always think of the other side of the market. I'm biased. I would be biased up on this one, looking for an entry, entry setup. If I don't get it, there's a good chance this could even roll over and push back down through 810. So what I'd be looking through off that support through 810. All right, you've got this pullback here, you've got this good extension up, pull the way back down again, potentially a lower high here. We've got, well, that's probably not, it's a bit too far. You've got this little higher low at 820 just in here, and we're pushing back up. But still, this has got the potential to be that lower high and put pressure on the downside again. So it's getting a bit choppy through here. I would like to see, go contraction, but hold those higher lows and then punch out through the top. And then you've got, exactly what your risk is going to be. You can see that buyers are holding it up. They're holding it up at higher levels. Buyers are stepping in earlier and earlier and earlier on these pullbacks. And then it starts to really put pressure on the top side. That's ideally, this type of price action is what I'd want to see from here. And that's just off this high, move, pull back, contract a bit, and then hold the higher lows. Does that make sense? Yeah, John, I hope that made a bit of sense, but it's definitely, for me, it's definitely one to have on the cards. All right, might call it a day there. If there's any more questions, if you've got questions, if you want to send an email through, feel free. Send an email through to support@tradesetup.com.au. Any questions on what we talked about today, if you want any more clarification on something, or even if you just think I'm talking rubbish, please let me know. More than happy to chat. And yeah, if you do like what you see on the streams, it'd be much appreciated if you leave us a like at the end of the video. Yeah, thanks for joining me again, guys. We'll be back in on Thursday at 12:30. Until then, have a good couple of days. Thanks for joining me, guys. Bye-bye.